Arrow Season 5, Episode 14, The Sin Eater. I had to read it straight off the thing. This episode I thought was actually pretty interesting because we had three villains come back that we've seen multiple times. Well, one of them we only saw one time, and that kind of involves Lance. And, you know, his. It's just been a thing this season. Every couple episodes, somebody outside of Oliver is blaming themselves for something. It's like Oliver's, negative feelings about himself have seemed to kind of spread out to the rest of the cast. But Lance has this issue where one of the villains that comes back into this episode, he feels he turned into a villain because she finds out that he was working out with Damien Dark temporarily, and it's like, if you can do that, then why shouldn't I do what I want? Which, totally different circumstances. People always just say, they do like the black and white thing, and it's none of that in between stuff. Like, he was threatening my family, like the one person I got left. Any of that stuff, it was like, whatever. You did what you wanted. I'm going to do what I want, which was just to be a flat out criminal, which is totally different. But he's dealing with that issue in this episode. We have just a lot of chaos going on with Oliver in this one, where it's like things are getting a little too close. None of this played out the way I thought it would either. I mean, the main story for this episode, I was like, okay, that I kind of understand. I figured that would go the route that it did, where, of course, everything is fine. It works out for Lance. They end up, catching the villains. Fortunately, Oliver is no longer being targeted by the police and everything like that. I was like, okay, not too surprised by that. That's pretty much what I expected. Two things that I didn't expect, however, were the fact that at the end of the episode, I don't know if this will mean anything, but Oliver said the exact same thing as Green Arrow as he did as Oliver, which I was like, that's dumb. He's being an idiot right now. And of course, the captain was like, that's funny. That's the same thing the mayor said. And I'm like, it was stupid. That is so dumb. You can't say the same thing as your superhero persona. And I don't know. I feel like that's going to come back to bite him. But not only does that end up happening, we have the scandal at the end of the episode, which I wasn't expecting at all. So, of course, especially with that information being put out there to more people, specifically to the captain, he now knows that the scandal is real. Of course, we have the people within City Hall with Oliver and Lance and Adrian. They, of course, know that it's real as well. It's not just a scandal. Like, that's just fact. Like, that's what it is. So that's going to be chaos in the next episode. But the third thing, because I totally forgot about the ending as I was doing my little counting section, the third thing is actually how things played out between Oliver and the reporter. I didn't think that she'd ever confront him. I legitimately thought, how crazy is this going to be when she decides to run with this? That's what I thought was going to happen. But she actually cared about him, at least enough to ask him, are you the Green Arrow? And she even tells him about the evidence, which really blew my mind. Like, she just asked him. I was like, okay, that's happened before where people know the truth and they just ask to see what happens. But she was like, okay, but I have this evidence, and you have a Bratma tattoo, and I have a picture of you in Russia at the same time as the Green Arrow, and weird stuff like that. And she just laid out all the evidence for him, too. And I was like, holy crap, I thought she would keep that hidden. I thought she would just see if he'd be serious or not, and then keep all her extra information a secret. But she put it all on the table and was like, I have all this evidence. I just really want to know the truth. And that really sucked for her because, of course, once that happens, it's just chaos. Felicity and Thea decide that they're going to get rid of her by making her seem like she plagiarized from a ton of different people for the past 2 years. And that really sucked. They ruined her life because of her getting a little too close to the truth with Oliver. And of course that probably makes it a bit more obvious too. Crazy suspicious how suddenly I asked you about being Green Arrow. I'm plagiarizing for the past 2 years. So that just makes it even easier. And I mean, she had the evidence anyway. It was there. That was pretty much all you needed. I mean, the fact that he was even somewhere else, that's all it took. And now that she's mad, which I think any person would be, she might just put that information out there anyway, which she says that she can't come forward with it, but even if people don't believe her, that's the type of conspiracy theory sort of stuff that people will look into, and someone will find out the truth. So it's pretty easy. If she decides to do that, it might not be the legitimate big crazy news story that she would have wanted it to be, but it'll be there, and it could still destroy him. And it's like, yeah, everybody found out that Oliver Queen is the Green Arrow. So that really surprised me. Some very deep stuff in this episode with Thea and just her decisions and what she chose to do in that regard. But I liked it. I mean, it really surprised me, but I was like, wow, I didn't think that she would even come out to him and be like, I have all this evidence and stuff. And then the way they played it, where Felicity and Thea got her fired and basically destroyed her career, as Oliver put it, like they did kind of ruin her life. Like she can't possibly get a job in the field that she's always wanted, you know, like that sort of thing. And it's kind of insane. Like that's just real world consequences. So it was pretty nuts, and I kind of like the drama that they added to it, just in regards to that character and how surprising that was to me. But I don't know what they're gonna do next. Like this episode, I really enjoyed it for, you know, kind of the twist that they threw in there with the characters. A random thing is that Curtis has a new costume. He's got a new jacket, which I thought was kind of cool because I'm pretty sure that is from the comics as well. I think the character, Mr. Terrific in the comics, has two different jackets too. So I thought that was cool. You know, he weaves. I think he said it was like Kevlar's weaved into the jacket. I don't know why that meant it had to be a white jacket all of a sudden, or like have like white sleeves, but it was just an excuse for them to have the other comic book costume. But I actually like that one better. I think it looks cooler to have all three colors instead of just the black and the red. It's pretty interesting. It doesn't help too much for stealth with like those big white spots on there, but it looks really cool. So I like that. The action for this episode I actually thought was really good too. There was a lot of martial arts going on, especially during that in-fight sequence. Everything was like hand to hand outside of a couple of little shots. And then of course, you know, the cops come in and that stops everything. But for the most part, it was all hand to hand combat. We see Dinah use her powers just a little bit. She even gets the bow staff at the end of this episode, which was cool. She gets the mask in this episode. She's officially a cop as well in this episode, and that's why she gets the mask. It's like, oh, you know, we can't have you know, your partner's recognizing you, because she was just strolling around. She was like Diggle in the first couple of seasons, where he's just like, I'm just the dude on the team shooting everybody. So it made a lot of sense they, you know, give her a mask and stuff. But I like the way it played out. I thought it was simple. You know, they brought in three villains that we knew, but they weren't really like, oddly enough, they weren't really the biggest part of it. It was like one villain specifically was tied to Lance, and that's what made that so important. And other than that, it was stuff dealing with Oliver. It was either like the relationship stuff and him being busted, or him dealing with the scandal, because now he's got that extra information out there because Prometheus knows that Oliver visited his mother and stuff like that. So Prometheus is still pushing. We haven't seen Prometheus in I don't know how many episodes, but this was definitely a big push from that character that we still haven't seen physically in quite a while, actually. So I like that. You know, in the beginning where Oliver goes to see Prometheus's mother, and she's like, you know, she's defending her son because he's hurt, and she calls the Green Arrow a monster and stuff like that. So I'm like, all right, well, let's see how this plays out. And he pushed a little far trying to get some help from her. And then Prometheus kind of came back with the scandal stuff. And, I mean, Prometheus could blow the whole thing wide open. Knows exactly who Oliver is, but it's just that mental game. And I like that. It makes it entertaining. It's a slow burn, but it's still really fun. So I'm looking forward to this next episode. A little confused. I didn't get to see the whole promo, but I saw more than enough, because based on that promo, or like the first half of the promo that I got to see, Vigilante is going after Oliver. And that is a bit of a twist for me. I think for a lot of people, because I think everyone assumed that Adrian is Vigilante. So now, either this dude has a split personality, or that's not him. Those are literally the only two options at this point. Like, either Vigilante is Adrian and he has a split personality when people do wrong, even though he would have to like kill himself, or Vigilante was never Adrian, which is insane. And I don't know who it could possibly be, because there's no one else that's been like even a little bit focused on. Like, Adrian is the only non-main character at this point that has any sort of focus on him. Like, Dinah, obviously, she's actually a part of the team now, so she's in there. But Adrian is the only person that's a main character that's not a part of the actual Arrow team. So it always made sense. Like, yeah, it's going to be him, because anyone else would just be some random person we've never even seen before. And now it's Vigilante going after Oliver Queen for this scandal of covering up a murder. And it's just like, what the F is going on? What if Prometheus has split personalities? That would be insane. Like, that would be really crazy. Or if both were Adrian, that would be even crazier. But I don't know what to think now. I'm like, I always thought that it was Adrian. and it still could be, and he has a split personality where he just goes after people that do bad stuff, but I don't know. It's so hard to say at this point. I'm like, I thought I always knew, and now it's just like, poof, here's possibly Adrian going after Oliver, even though Adrian was the one that started the scandal to begin with. He was the one who like flat out suggested to Oliver, like, I think we need to cover this up. Or he even said, it wasn't I think we need to. He said, I already did it. Like, he'd already covered everything up before he even took that stuff to Oliver. Because he was like, well, yeah, it'll just cause chaos if people think that the Green Arrow, of course, killed this cop. So I don't know. They're messing with us now, I guess, because I mean they made it seem real obvious. Like, all right, he snaps on people when he's always interviewing them. He freaks them out and stuff like that. And we have this vigilante character who's like, you know, kind of over the top and kills all the bad guys and stuff. He doesn't deal with the whole justice thing. They die. That's pretty much all there is to it. Which once again they go back and forth on that because Oliver was definitely killing people in this episode when like that random gang of criminals came in to help the girls out. He shot, like, those first two people, I'm pretty sure he shot straight through the heart. I'm pretty sure he just killed those guys, but they just jumps back and forth at this point. You never know when somebody's going to die and when it matters. But I'm so confused. I don't know what to think now because I'm like, I always thought it was Adrian, and now he's going after Oliver, so I don't know. Split personality makes a ton of sense, especially in comic books, but and now we just have to wait and see what the heck the case is. I think it might have to be a split personality because, like I said, otherwise, it's just some random person. Like, we don't know who this character is going to end up being if it's not Adrian because there are no other side characters that, you know, have had any sort of focus like that. So it's either going to be someone brand new or it's going to be Adrian or, I don't know, for whatever reason, maybe Prometheus has split personalities and is going to end up being Prometheus just as like the hero version. I don't know. I really can't tell, but I'm super excited to get an answer. Maybe we'll get an answer. Who knows? But either we'll get to freaking see Adrian and Vigilante during the same scene in this next episode, or maybe they'll keep it, you know, stretched out. Who the F knows? But it's a mystery now. It's like back to being crazy. Like, what does this mean? How is this going to play out? Who's this character going to end up being? But I like this episode. I'm just super excited because I really want the answer now as to who Vigilante is, if it's not Adrian or if it is him with split personality or whatever. But I'm just super excited for this next episode now because of that. I'm like, it just throws everything off that I always thought about him, where it's like, he's definitely Vigilante, and now it's like, well, why would he attack Oliver when he's the one, unless he's just like super hypocritical, and then that would just be weird and not really the greatest writing, if I'm being totally honest. So hopefully that's not the case where he's just really hypocritical and is like, oh, you're bad, but I'm cool, even though I'm the one that started it. So I doubt that'll be the case, and I'm sure it'll be much better than that. But still looking forward to it just for that answer. But I definitely enjoyed this episode. I like the action. I like what they did with Lance. I thought it was really well done with him having, you know, like I said, the sort of Oliver struggle where it's like, I blame myself for this, and the reason she, you know, stopped rehabilitating herself as far as being a villain was because of me, and, you know, seeing the stuff on TV, and Thea was able to help him out. I was like, yeah, that's a bunch of crap. She was a criminal before that, so, you know, you can't really blame yourself that she relapsed because she was a criminal way before you were a crappy, you know, we're not even a crappy person, but before you decided to try to protect your daughter, so can't really blame yourself for that. So I definitely enjoyed that portion of the episode. Like I said, the stuff with the reporter, I don't think that's over. I mean, her life is kind of ruined, but there's so much that they could still do with that, and excuse me, I just don't think that this is the end of her storyline. So we'll see where that goes as well. But we'd love to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And honestly, because of the promo, I just gotta ask, what do you think the deal is with Vigilante now? Because I mean, maybe unless I missed something that was in that promo because it got cut off. I don't know. Maybe there was a scene in there where they actually show Adrian and Vigilante together, which would be a bit of a spoiler because of just, well, obviously the mystery that I'm having right now is just like, what in the world is going on? So hopefully that's not in the actual promo because that would be a bit of a spoiler. But we'll love to know how you guys think that's going to play out and what the actual reveal is going to be, because I got nothing. I mean, split personality. That's it. That's all I can think of. But we'll let them know your theories on how that's going to play out next week. And also, I of course want to know what you guys thought about the episode in general. So please comment below. Let me know. And thanks for watching.